Let's turn the page, Auburn fans. It's a brand new week for Auburn football. It's homecoming week, plus Auburn versus Missouri coming up this weekend. At the start of each week, it's time to meet with Coach Bryan Harsin and hear what he has to say, obviously, about the next matchup, but wrapping up some thoughts from that game against Penn State, which we wish we all could believe that didn't happen, but it did. We're going to wrap this up with press conference, questions, comments, and his responses to all of that. Before we do that, though, please do make sure you smash the like button if you enjoy this type of content. We always want to thank members of our booster club like Bill Petty for help making videos like this possible. So as always, I do want to stress that you go and watch the press conference yourself. There's several ways that you can get it. We also provide it for you here on E2C Network's YouTube channel. I'll have the show linked in here, the video that you can go watch the actual full press conference so you don't have anything out of context and you don't have anything missing from the overall commentary. Now, if you just want the short version and my overall thoughts on the situation, this is the video for you right now. So let's jump right into it like we always do. I take down some notes and hopefully get through this a lot quicker than it would be watching the entire press conference. So start off right up at the top with opening thoughts from Coach Harsin and address obviously what you would hope to hear after the debacle that was the Penn State game. They had a really good Sunday as a team in terms of correcting the mistakes that happened, and I'm sure there were a lot of mistakes that they identified that need to be corrected, and that Tuesday is going to be a very big practice for them. And you'll hear some of these other comments echoed in other questions and commentary from Coach Harsin about maybe some things are up in the air, and that's why Tuesday's practice every week is a big practice, but it's going to be a big practice for them in terms of how they determine to be successful this next Saturday against Missouri. Lots of connections with the Missouri staff. I think it's been pretty obvious that Coach Harsin and Eli Drinkwitz, I think is how you say it, have some definite connections there, but there's other staff members that are part of Missouri now that have connections with the rest of the staff here at Auburn. So it's a really interesting game overall in terms of it being homecoming, Missouri, all that good stuff. He noted that Missouri is very creative on offense, and they are going to have to prepare for that, and he's excited to start SEC play, as we all should be. Honestly, this is probably one of the ones that you want to start with, if anything. I mean, let's think about it. We could be starting with Georgia again. I know that's coming up very soon, but no offense, Missouri. At least it's Missouri and not Georgia and Alabama. All right, next, here's the questions that he was asked. We'll give you a couple of notes under responses. He had questions about the lack of running in the second half. We all saw it. We all know it. We all know the numbers. What Coach Harsin stresses here is that the game dictates what happens in the game. And I do think that the offensive line personally wasn't performing the way it should have, obviously. And that probably did need to pull away from that some. We can all question, though, whether that pulling away was too much or not. But he stresses that they do want to run the football. This isn't them trying to redo some things that didn't work last year. Question about the talented wide receiver for Missouri, who's a freshman. Now, I forgot to go get his name, so apologize. You can obviously, in the comments, if you want to share who that is, please do. Noted how talented he is and how they are very concentrated on trying to get the ball in his hands. When you have a playmaker like that, you definitely want to do that, so they're going to have to account for him, definitely. They're going to try to mix up their defense a little bit to really kind of probably, hopefully, play against him being a freshman. As talented as he is, he can make mistakes just like all freshmen can, and hopefully that'll help counter any, advantage that a player like that gives them from Missouri. He's also surrounded by plenty of other talent and wide receivers as well that can be threats too. About the mentality and maturity issues that a lot of people are questioning. I think this was mainly in reference to a commentary that was made by an Auburn player. I'm pretty sure I know it is, but I'm not going to say it here because I don't want to confirm or deny that right now. About maybe there were some maturity issues or mentality issues during the game. Coach Harsin kind of pushed back, and you're going to see this throughout the rest of the commentary here, that he wasn't really sure what they were getting at there. He says that the references that they're trying to make aren't really in context of what's going on there. He said there were a lot of mental mistakes that the team made, but it's not an indicator of a wider problem. Execution is their main issue right now, not mentality, maturity, focus, whatever you want to say there. How he grades the O-line and what changes might be coming, nothing to address at this conference. The competition, as it is every single week, is ongoing to see who can give them the best opportunity to win. And he did note that with the O-line grades and stuff like that, this is a combo of them making mistakes, but also Penn State just doing a really good job. And I think that's what missed in a lot of this. Yes, Auburn did not play well, bit themselves in the butt. But definitely you got to give credit to Penn State for the way that they played in that game, even with the offensive line, the whole offensive line, defensive line dynamic on both sides of that. What has the team done well over the 3 games is what he was asked next. And he said that there's lots behind the scenes that these guys, talking about the media, don't get to see, especially, just outside of the 3 games. He said that individuals have made progress. The main thing now is that progress has to be made as a team, because if you have one guy making progress but 2 more not making that progress, it holds the team back in some sense. And he didn't obviously name any names here, but you can kind of sense that there is definitely progress made by certain people, but obviously the team hasn't taken that full step forward yet, and noted that the players are just as angry about the results of this game as us, the fans, the media, everybody else. They are probably the ones that are most angry than anybody else. Was asked about the health of the quarterbacks, not really anything to address here. He just said that everybody's ready to go, and specifically he was asked about Finley and Robbie Ashford in this one, and nothing really to address there. How do you evaluate the quarterbacks when the game is not going as planned? He said that it's not difficult to evaluate because you're looking for the small things to indicate that things are being done well, progress is being made. Now, when you get into last-ditch efforts, as he was addressing in this question, that you're really just trying to make something happen, those are not really fair assessments because it's almost kind of desperation at that point, and it got into that point in the second half at certain times. Is Missouri a must-win? Now, this is where things really turned in the press conference. It got quite interesting. In terms of, nothing ever got heated or anything like that. It just seemed Coach Harsin was probably done with some of the more veiled questions, and he even says, is Missouri a must-win? He says every Saturday is a must-win, and he was being very frank about it and says, I know what you mean by that question, and really didn't get into it further after that. Quarterback race assessment right now. The week of practice will determine who's the starter. He was even pressed a little bit to say if there is a starter right now, and said, again, the week of practice will determine that, whether that's health or otherwise, and he didn't say the health part. We're all just assuming that at this point. And obviously, still a little bit short on his answers here because you definitely tell the room shifted a little bit. Assessing the defensive aggressiveness. He said they did not play up to the results. No sacks on the day is not what you want. We have guys that should be able to make those plays, and they didn't. And the players, again, are not happy about that either. They're the ones that are holding themselves the most accountable, even more than us so at this point. And finally, he was asked about Zach Calzada's health. And he got a little snappy here too, saying, do you guys know something I don't? And he said he is competing just like everyone else. So we're not going to get any information about it. Health, production, starting until game time pretty much for who's going to be starting at quarterback and who's going to be the most productive for us overall. And then it ended after that. And you could definitely tell the room was a little bit different and probably a little bit uncomfortable at times. But hey, that's the nature of things sometimes when, football's not going so well for your program at this particular moment. So that is my quick summary for you all of the press conference. Would love to know what stuck out to you. If you have any other thoughts about it, let's keep it going down there in the comments section below. On your way out, smash that like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe so you don't miss any content like this or live streams that we do. If you want ways to help support our content, hit that join button down below if you want to be a channel member, or even if you want to go to patreon.com/E2C Network, you can join the Booster Club for some extra perks. Thank you for being here for the E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. War Eagle.